Hello everyone, my name is Anna Hernandez and this is my infant and toddler cognitive development reflection slides. So throughout this presentation, we will learn, understand, and reflect on the cognitive development domain based on the age group birth to 3 years. We will gain new and existing knowledge from course content, including the ELOFs, and I forgot to mention the videos. The age I will be focusing on is birth to 3 years, infant and toddlers, and the primary ELOF domain is the cognitive development. So the first cognitive skill that confirmed my knowledge was the exploration and discovery in infants and toddlers, and the indicator that I connected to this was learned about characteristics of people and properties and use of objects through the senses and active exploration. This cognitive skill connects to the ELOF indicator because it explains how exploring develops theories through building and testing. Through this continuous process of exploring, observing, and revising ideas, children deepen their knowledge about the world and develop important cognitive skills that support learning across all areas. According to the Lesson 4 Early Cognitive Skills, children are constantly developing theories about the world around them. For example, infants may have a theory that when they drop a toy they're holding in their hands, it will fall to the ground. They may then experiment with dropping different objects to the ground and may even try doing so from different heights. The other cognitive skill that confirmed my knowledge was memory. Memory is crucial in the development of infants because it helps them learn something by remembering it. That is that infants and toddlers will first watch, not so obvious, act, then they will feel the encouraged to act it out themselves. According to the ASU Memory Development content of Lesson 4, researchers have shown that infants as young as 6 months can retain learned actions such as kicking to get a mobile to move for up to 2 weeks and sometimes longer depending on the training. The domain that I connected to it, the indicator that I connected this cognitive skill to was prepares for next routine or activity based on past experiences, such as gets hot or cold when it's time to go outside. This cognitive skill connects to the ELOF indicator for the subdomain memory because it shows how infants and toddlers use their past experiences, things they've learned, to perform routines or complete an activity. The last cognitive skill that confirmed my knowledge was imitation and symbolic representation in play. According to the Lesson 4, a study found that children are more likely to imitate actions that are always effective than ones, and that work only some of the time. Through symbolic representation, infants and toddlers will use a different object to represent something else. For example, you will see babies and toddlers use a block or a car or a TV control as a phone, imitating what they see adults doing. During playtime, many will notice children implementing what they see at home through an act of playing, such as feeding a doll or taking care of a baby. And the indicator that I connected to this last cognitive skill is uses familiar objects to represent something else and seeks to involve others in pretend or make-believe play. And this is the subdomain imitation and symbolic representation and play. This indicator aligns with the Module 4 reading because it shows how imitation is used by toddlers and infants every day and how it's implemented through their play. It's almost like copying and paste. They copy everything and they just paste it into like their environment, into like things they're doing throughout the day, which is like free play. So cognitive skills and insights that change my perspective is the understanding of casual relationships. This skill represents how infants and toddlers develop an understanding about cause and effect relationships and to recognize complicated relationships. This new information shifted my perspective by the surprising capability the cause and effect relationship supports the cognitive development in infants and toddlers. By the time infants reach toddlerhood, they have the understanding of causes or things that make other things happen. They begin to notice different patterns in numbers as they continue to grow and Schul's video, her research states that even young children use evidence, probability, and patterns. They do this to decide how to sort them out. And then the subdomain that I connected to this cognitive skill is exploration and discovery. And the indicator is anticipates some cause and effects of own actions, such as what happens when while running with a cup of water. And listen, in lesson 4, understanding of causal relationships, there is an example of a blanket detector, which is a small wooden or metal platform that lights up or plays music when a blanket is on top. And this is the picture that I inserted. It was like, it shows the black is the wood metal platform, and the top two are the blue and the red blocks. One of them plays music and one of them doesn't. And as you can see, the red plays no music and the blue plays music. The last cognitive skill and insight that changed my perspective is the problem solving, reasoning and problem solving. According to the lesson 4, reasoning and problem solving, as children get older and the goals get more complex, they will build more problem solving strategies to deal with new and more complicated problems that might arise. And the subdomain indicator that I connected to this was reasoning and problem solving, and the indicator was using a variety of strategies to solve problems, such as answering and error simple tools or asking someone for help. This new information shifted my perspective of this cognitive skill by developing and understanding that even though children struggle to solve something, they continue to find a solution. And the last cognitive skill that deepened my knowledge of development in this domain is the emergent mathematical thinking. This skill implements the understanding of quantity, more than or less than, solving puzzles, shapes and sizes, and sorting based on similarities and differences as young children continue to grow. And then the subdomain that I connected to this cognitive skill is the emergent mathematical thinking, and the indicator was identifies more or less with a small number of items without needing to count them. And the example that I added was crackers. As you see, there's some crackers that might have more spotting, so they put those together, and then the ones that don't have any spottings, they sort them out in a different group. So, some key takeaways that I found about infant and toddler cognitive development is that, according to research by Garnett, she discovered that babies young as 18 months old were able to learn a fact about human nature by giving the adult what they knew that person would like. On the other hand, 15-month-olds just stared at the person and gave them what they thought that person would like. She was able to conduct this experiment using a bowl of broccoli and some gold crackers. Connection to the subdomain that I made was to the exploration and discovery in the ELOF, where infants and toddlers use a variety of actions to examine people and objects. This connects to the facial expressions of the adults with the broccoli and goldfish. Another key takeaway about infants and toddlers as cognitive learners is that children are actively learning within their environment, and adult interactions from such a young age help their cognitive development. For example, babies can adapt to any language as long as it's part of their environment. In the 0 to 3 baby brain map, it stated that responsive, nurturing caregivers play a crucial role by improving language-rich environments. And it's just something I got from that 0 to 3 baby brain map, that says infants' brains are wired to learn in response to their environment. Babies are not in control of their environment, so it's up to adults to provide brain building experiences. Some more key takeaways is that as infants and toddlers continue to develop their cognitive skills, speaker Elizabeth S. Speaks believes that the basic methods of science are accessible to everyone, and she gave examples such as taste testing, blind testing, and she gave these examples of things she used to do when she was younger with her family. And then I added like the video where you could get more information regarding the methods of science. And then Infants and toddlers 10 months old begin to develop signs of pure planning, supporting their cognitive skills using their fine motor skills, that such as using a spoon, trying to solve a puzzle or toy. And then I added a quote from one of the lesson four's course content, which says reasoning and problem solving in infants and even toddlers may seem even more far-fetched than memory or discovery, but in fact, from birth to age 3, children are engaging in many reasoning and problem solving activities. Overall, as I continue to learn more about the ELOF's development in infants and toddlers through practices and interactions with young children, I will implement the strategies, room tips, and knowledge gained from this week's course material. That is, during free play, I will provide an environment where children will feel comfortable exploring different objects they can use to understand themselves and others, allowing them to test different objects to develop different theories. Also, use those theories in different ways to design interventions with other objects to see what will happen next. And this promote imitation, exploring through free play, encourage students to have conversations about past experiences to exercise their memory development, and even implement those previous experiences to learn and grow cognitively. I think there was an example last course content material where the teacher was able to use a story about a horse and a farmer into a conversation that the kids were having, because they were arguing whether the horse needed a blanket or not, and she kind of allowed them to express their emotions through those experiences and kind of relate to the story that they were learning about during the week. And this is just my reference page.